All right, guys. I'm not quite sure why um, Google Meet wouldn't work or Zoom. I tried about 8 or 9 different Zooms. I don't know if you guys got every single one of the emails, but I was trying for a while there. I also tried the Google Meet. I could hear all you guys, and all of a sudden I lost connection to it. I joined back in, lost connection to it again, joined back in, lost connection a third time. So then I tried starting up a new Google Meet, and that didn't work. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this live and then share it with you guys. We're going to be doing a discussion today on which way do I go, which goes back to Psalms chapter 1. The purpose of what we're going to be talking about today is the first Psalms deals directly with life's most important issues, which is choosing to live as God wants us to. God living is the ultimate target of all Christian teaching. With that transforming purpose in mind, the sheet we're going to talk about gives you guys a look at what godliness is and some steps to attain that godliness. So that's what we were going to be talking about was which way you want to decide to go, whether it be good or bad. So what I was going to have you guys do is um, kind of voice some different on hard decisions that people face in their life, and not just people, but people your age. So hard decisions that you guys have to face on a daily basis, especially right now. There's a lot going on in our world, not with just the virus, but in every aspect of our world right now. There's major difficulties. So, we're going to discuss that a little bit. So, why don't you guys think about that while I move on? Is those hard decisions that people around you are having to make right now? They might suggest anything from what college to attend. Some of you guys might be thinking about that. Some of you guys might be a couple years off from that, but you're certainly within grasp of, starting to figure out what you're going to do about college. It really is going to jumpstart, when you're a freshman in high school. You really need to start preparing for what you're going to do for college once that freshman year rolls around. Um, but your middle school years, so 6th through 8th grade, which all of you are in, is very key in planning and deciding what you're going to do for college. So you can't just, ignore this step because, you're at least 5, 6, or 7 years away from college. You need to start making that decision now, and it starts with your schooling, getting work done, and all that. Another problem that teens face is drugs. Whether you should or shouldn't do drugs. Aside from the biblical standing of not doing drugs, uh, it's harmful to your body. So God wants us to preserve our body. It's our temple. So if you're putting drugs in your temple, it's gonna harm that temple that's God has made for you. So you're not going to want to do that. Um, for some of you that wanted to, I was going to have you share maybe some of those points in your life that you, up to this point, I mean, that you've made good or bad decisions. So it doesn't necessarily have to be with drugs or anything like that, but I'm sure you've made bad decisions. I made bad decisions when I was in elementary and middle school. Didn't have to be anything major, anything life changing, but even just small decisions, or, you know, positive, smart decisions that you guys have made as well, because you knew maybe something somebody else was doing wasn't good. Um, your entire life, not just at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, is going to be full of decisions. you're really the only one who can make that right decision for you. Right now, your parents have a little bit of say so in what you do, but whenever you're not around them, sometimes they don't have that say so. So you need to make sure that you're making the right decisions that God wants you to make, and keep that at the forefront of your mind at all times. So the first item that we were going to discuss is there's two passages that center on choosing to go God's way rather than some false or useless way. And you guys are going to have to choose to live for God. An easy or hard thing is a hard thing to do. The second one was to be sure your class members understand these things. The psalm speaks against lending an open ear to tempting words or wicked advice, following others into sin, and mocking or ridiculing or ignoring God. There is wisdom in basing one's life on God's wisdom found in the Bible. The third one was all the steps involved in choosing God's way are at least alluded to this passage. You guys are going to have to explain that by positive steps, you mean steps that people who want to talk with God can take to be blessed, which will lead to happy and meaningful lives. You're going to have to explain the third and fifth steps, pointing out that thanking God will help you thank Him often. Prayer and trust will help you get to know Him. The fourth item was these situations will give you guys a chance to think ahead about meaningful ways to deal with similar situations they may encounter. You guys are going to talk about different scenarios that center around practical advice that you could use. And then we were going to talk about different ways that all of you could improve in this area. So I'm going to send you guys the front of this sheet. Obviously, we weren't going to get to discuss today because I was having those difficulties. Hopefully, we'll get it figured out. I already talked to Mrs. Payne on the phone about it. I'm going to put an email in to Mr. Maestri and Miss Payne to see if we can get it figured out with Zoom. I like Zoom a lot more than Google Meets because I can have each one of your guys' picture and screen on my screen. In Google Meet, I have to click on you guys one by one, or I can have like 4 of you up. So anyway, I'm going to send you guys a copy of this front of this page. You just need to answer it and send it back today. That's going to be your only work. Sorry, couldn't get the Zoom or Google Meets figured out, but this is all a learning process. So you guys have a good day and a good weekend.